They are already working. Right now, as you watch this video, autonomous AI agents are processing insurance claims at Manulife, coordinating logistics for the FIFA World Cup 2026 operations team, programming industrial robots at Google Intrinsic, reviewing patient charts in hospital systems, and managing the inventory of one of the world's largest retail companies. These are not experiments. These are production deployments. The agentic AI era did not begin with a press release. It began quietly in production systems at the businesses that moved first. Welcome back. Today I will tell you the shift from generative AI to agentic AI is the biggest paradigm change I have tracked since the commercialization of the internet. It is that significant, and it is happening right now. In the next 20 minutes, I am going to give you the complete picture. What agentic AI actually is beyond the buzzword, the verified data on how fast it is moving, the real deployments that are already reshaping industries, the profound risks that most organizations are completely unprepared for, and the specific workflow transformations that you can implement for your channel or business starting this week. This is not a predictions video. This is a status report on something that is already happening. Let us begin. The precise definition. The word agentic is being applied to so many things in 2026 that it has started to lose meaning. Let me give you the precise definition, because the word matters and the distinction matters. A generative AI system does one thing. It receives an input and produces an output. You ask a question, it answers. You provide a prompt, it generates content. The transaction is complete when the output is delivered. The system has no ongoing existence, no goals, no memory of what it did last time, no ability to take actions in the world. It is a very sophisticated function that takes text in and produces text out. An AI agent is architecturally different in 4 specific ways. First, it perceives its environment. Rather than just receiving a text input from a human, an agent can actively gather information browsing the web, reading files, querying databases, monitoring sensor data. It has senses, in a meaningful technical sense of the word. Second, it plans. Given a high-level goal, an agent decomposes the goal into subtasks, sequences them, and develops a strategy for achieving them. It does not just respond to what it is given, it decides what it needs to do. Third, it acts. An agent can execute tools, run code, send emails, make API calls, fill in web forms, book calendar entries, execute database queries. It does not just produce text about doing these things. It actually does them. Fourth, it has memory. An agent maintains context across actions, learns from the results of previous steps, and adjusts its strategy based on what it discovers. It is persistent in a way that a generative model is not. A multi-agent system adds a 5th dimension, coordination. Multiple agents with different specializations work together, passing information between them, dividing tasks, and producing outputs that no single agent could produce alone. The research agent finds information. The analysis agent processes it. The writing agent structures it. The review agent checks it. The coordinator agent manages the whole pipeline. The shift from AI as a tool to AI as an agent is the most consequential architectural change since the introduction of transformers. Google DeepMind Research Agentic Systems Position Paper, 2025. The numbers, how fast is this moving? Let me give you the verified numbers because this is a fast-moving situation. And the data tells a specific story about where we actually are versus where the marketing suggests we are. The market size. The global agentic AI market was $7.63 billion in 2025. It is projected to reach $10.91 billion in 2026, a 43% increase in a single year. By 2030, the projection is $52.63 billion. That represents a compound annual growth rate of 46.3%. For context, that growth rate is faster than the early-stage internet, faster than mobile, and comparable only to the most rapid technology adoption events in history. The adoption intensity. Capgemini surveyed senior business leaders across industries, and found that 93% said their organization needs to scale AI agents in the next 12 months or lose competitive advantage. That is not a forward-looking aspiration. It is a present-tense survival assessment. When 9 out of 10 senior executives describe something as competitive as defining within 12 months, the adoption wave is not approaching. It is here. The ROI data. Forrester analyzed real agentic AI deployments and found an average return on investment of 171%. United States companies averaged 192%. These are not projected returns, they are measured results from actual deployments that went into production. Now here is where the data gets interesting, and this is the nuance most coverage misses. Deloitte found that only 11% of organizations have achieved full production deployment of agentic AI systems. 79% have some adoption, but most are in pilot or early deployment. 21% are still in planning. The gap between the urgency signal from executives and the actual deployment reality is enormous. Gartner has already predicted that 40% of agentic AI projects will fail by 2027, specifically due to legacy system incompatibility, unclear governance, and unrealistic expectations about what agents can currently do. This gap between urgency and readiness, between ambition and capability, between the marketing and the production reality, is the single most important fact about agentic AI in 2026. And it is the one that most people analyzing this space are glossing over. Real deep yellow MNTS. Who is doing what right now? Let me walk you through the specific verified deployments that I believe best illustrate where agentic AI is actually operating in 2026, because abstract market numbers become real only when you can see what the systems are doing in the world. Financial services. Manulife, the Canadian insurance and financial services company, has deployed agentic AI systems across claims processing and customer service workflows. The agents handle multi-step claims assessments, gathering documentation, cross-referencing policy terms, identifying discrepancies, and routing complex cases to human reviewers with significantly faster processing times than previous workflow systems. The human workforce was not eliminated. It was redirected from data gathering to decision-making. Sports operations. The FIFA World Cup 2026 operations team has integrated AI agent systems for logistics coordination, security monitoring, and communications management. Coordinating an event across multiple host cities in 3 countries, the United States, Canada, and Mexico, involves a complexity of simultaneous decisions that human coordination teams cannot handle at the required speed. Agents are handling the real-time data processing and routing, while human operators maintain strategic oversight. Industrial robotics. Google Intrinsic has deployed agent-based systems for industrial robot programming a field that has traditionally required highly specialized engineers to manually code each robot task. With agentic AI, the programming layer is handled by agents that interpret natural language descriptions of desired tasks and translate them into robot control code. The democratization implication factories that previously could not afford specialized robotics engineers can now program industrial robots is significant. Healthcare. A case study from Snowflake and Becker's Healthcare Review documented a hospital system that deployed agentic AI for clinical chart review. The result: a 98% reduction in chart review time at 99% accuracy. What previously required a human reviewer spending 40 minutes per chart was completed by an agent in under 1 minute, with near-human accuracy. The human clinicians freed from chart review time redirected it to patient interaction and clinical judgment, the tasks where human presence is irreplaceable. Retail. Walmart's agentic inventory management pilot reported a 22% increase in e-commerce sales in test categories attributed to the agent's ability to make real-time restocking and pricing decisions faster than the previous manual workflow. The agent monitored inventory levels, supplier availability, competitor pricing, and demand signals simultaneously, and triggered purchasing decisions autonomously within defined parameters. These 5 deployments are not from the same industry, the same country, or the same size of organization. They span financial services, sports, manufacturing, healthcare, and retail. The common thread: repetitive multi-step processes that required significant human labor and time, executed faster and at lower cost by agents, with human oversight maintained at the decision and exception level rather than the task level. The execution gap: why 89% of organizations are failing. Now I want to spend time on the part of the agentic AI story that the hype cycle does not cover, because understanding why the majority of deployments are failing is as important as understanding why the successful ones are working. McKinsey's analysis found that 89% of organizations are still operating what they describe as an industrial-age operating model: organizational structures and technology infrastructure built for a world where humans coordinate every step of every process. These structures are fundamentally incompatible with agentic AI systems that need to operate autonomously across organizational silos, access multiple data systems simultaneously, and make decisions faster than human approval chains can process. The first failure mode: legacy system incompatibility. Most enterprise technology infrastructure was not built with API-accessible interfaces. Agents need to read data from, write decisions to, and trigger actions across multiple systems, but if those systems require human login credentials, do not have documented APIs, or operate on proprietary protocols from the 1990s, agents cannot interface with them. The agentic layer sits above a legacy infrastructure that was not designed to be automated. The result is either expensive custom integration work or agents that can only operate on a subset of the data they need. The second failure mode: unclear governance. Who authorizes an agent to make a purchasing decision above a certain dollar threshold? Who is notified when an agent encounters an ambiguous case? Who is accountable when an agent makes a decision that causes harm? These governance questions need to be answered in policy before deployment, not discovered through incidents after deployment. Most organizations have not done the governance work before launching pilots, and when the governance gaps become apparent in production, the projects stall or fail. The third failure mode: scope creep in the opposite direction. Organizations that understand the governance risks sometimes respond by keeping agents so tightly constrained that they cannot actually do anything useful requiring human approval for every action, limiting access to only non-sensitive data, building in so many confirmation steps that the speed advantage disappears entirely. An agent that cannot act autonomously is not an agent. It is a very expensive checklist. The organizations that are achieving the 171% ROI share a consistent profile. They started with a clearly scoped pilot, defined the governance boundaries before deployment, built on modern API-accessible infrastructure, maintained a clear human escalation path for exceptions, and measured outcomes against specific baseline metrics rather than general productivity feelings. Precision in scope, clarity in governance, measurement discipline. These are not glamorous requirements. They are the actual requirements. The industry by industry impact, where AGNTs change everything. Let me give you the industry by industry picture, because the impact is not uniform, and knowing where the transformation is deepest tells you where to focus. Financial services and insurance. Agents have the highest current deployment concentration in this industry. Claims processing, fraud detection, compliance monitoring, risk assessment, all of these are high-volume, rule-intensive, multi-step processes perfectly suited to agentic automation. Banking data shows 40% faster loan origination and 35% fraud reduction in early deployments. The industry is not questioning whether to deploy agents. It is racing to deploy them faster than competitors. Healthcare. The chart review case is one example of a broader pattern. Clinical documentation, prior authorization processing, appointment scheduling, and patient communication follow-up are all in active agentic deployment. The contact center data is significant, Across healthcare organizations deploying agentic customer service, cost per contact reductions of 20 to 40% are being measured. The human clinical staff, doctors, nurses, clinical decision makers are not being replaced. The administrative load that was consuming up to 40% of their working hours is being absorbed by agents. Legal, contract review, due diligence data gathering, regulatory compliance monitoring, and case research are in early but significant deployment. Law firms running agentic document review are completing due diligence processes in hours rather than weeks. The economic model disruption here is significant. Junior associate time was the billing mechanism for document-intensive work. Agents that do the same work in a fraction of the time change the economics of law firms staffing at the entry level in ways the profession is not yet fully processing. Creative and content. This is directly relevant to this channel and this community. Agentic content research agents that monitor multiple news sources, identify trending topics, gather relevant statistics, and organize research notes into structured briefs is the most immediately applicable agentic capability for content creators. The creative direction remains human. The research legwork is agentically automated. Education. AI tutoring agents that adapt in real time to student performance, identify knowledge gaps, and adjust teaching strategy autonomously are in deployment at several major educational institutions. The early outcome data shows meaningful improvements in learning outcomes on measured assessments, particularly for students who fall behind the median in traditional classroom packing. Manufacturing. Google Intrinsic Robotics programming story is the leading edge of a broader transformation. Agents that can program, monitor, diagnose, and adjust manufacturing equipment are reducing the human technical expertise required to operate advanced factories. The implication for global manufacturing competitiveness, that organizations in markets with limited access to specialized engineering talent can operate sophisticated automated manufacturing, is significant and underreported. What this means for CRE2RS and the channel economy. Let me now be completely direct about what the agentic AI era means for faceless YouTube channels and content creators, because this is your business, and you deserve a specific answer, not a general one. Research phase of content creation is already being transformed by single-agent tools. Research agents that monitor multiple news sources, identify trending topics in your niche, gather relevant statistics and source them, and organize the findings into a structured brief. This workflow exists today, with tools available right now. If you're spending 3 to 4 hours per video on research and fact gathering, an agent workflow can reduce that to 30 minutes of agent direction and review. The creative judgment, which angle to take, which statistics are most compelling, what the unique frame for your audience is remains human. Script production is entering a hybrid agentic phase. GPT-5.4, with a well-structured research brief and channel context, produces a draft script that requires substantive human editing, not just proofreading, but genuine creative improvement. The agent produces the structure and the facts. The human provides the voice, the perspective, and the editorial judgment that makes the content worth watching. This hybrid produces better scripts faster than either pure human writing or pure AI generation. Distribution is the most advanced in agentic transformation. Metadata generation, titles, descriptions, tags, chapter markers, end card copy can be handled agentically from an approved script with minimal human review. Social media cross-posting, comment response management, and analytics monitoring are all entering agentic deployment at the creator scale. G2's data showed 89% of businesses deploying agents reported higher employee satisfaction, because agents are absorbing the repetitive administrative work that people find least fulfilling. The honest limitation. Agentic systems for creative content production are still in early stage. The creative quality ceiling is lower than what a highly engaged human creator produces. The audience relationship, the sense that a real person with a real perspective is communicating with you, is something that agentic pipelines degrade if used without strong human direction. The channels that will win with agentic AI are those that use it to multiply the reach of genuine human creative judgment, not those that use it to eliminate the human creative role entirely. The 3 laws of the Agentic era. After years of watching technology paradigm shifts, I have developed a discipline of reducing complex transitions to their essential principles, the 3 or 4 things you need to understand to navigate the shift successfully. For the agentic AI era, here are the 3 laws. Law 1. Agents amplify decisions, they do not make them. Every successful agentic deployment in the verified data shares this characteristic. Humans define the goal, the parameters, the constraints, and the escalation criteria. The agent executed within those boundaries. The failures, the 40% that Gartner predicts will collapse by 2027, predominantly involve organizations that tried to use agents to avoid making decisions rather than to accelerate the execution of decisions they had already made. Agentic AI is not a substitute for strategic clarity. It is an accelerant for strategic clarity that already exists. Law 2. Speed of adoption matters more than depth of adoption. The ROI data from Forrester is clear. Organizations that deployed agents in 5 shallow use cases performed better than organizations that spent the same time and budget trying to build one perfectly optimized agent system. The learning rate in agentic AI is still very high. Organizations that are accumulating operational experience across multiple deployments are building capabilities that cannot be acquired any other way. Waiting for the perfect deployment is the most expensive strategy available. Law 3. The execution gap is your opportunity. The difference between the 93% of leaders who say they need agents in the next 12 months and the 11% who have them in production is a gap that creates enormous competitive opportunity for the organizations and the creators who close it first. Every industry vertical has incumbents who are slow to move. Every content category has creators who are watching rather than testing. The gap is not a warning. It is an invitation. Action steps for Series 1. Define your research brief template. Before you deploy any agent for content research, write out exactly what you want it to find. Source types to prioritize, statistics categories to look for, specific subtopics to always include, and the format you want the output organized in. The quality of your agent's output is directly proportional to the precision of your brief. Start with one video topic and build the template from that. 2. Test a single agent research workflow on your next video. Use Perplexity Pro, GPT-5.4, or any agent-capable tool to gather the research for your next video topic using your template. Compare the time and the quality to your current manual research process. The data from your own workflow is more valuable than any general recommendation. 3. Agentically generate your metadata. On your next published video, use an agent to generate 5 title options, 3 description variations, and a complete tag set from the approved script. This is the lowest-risk agentic deployment available to creators. The output is entirely in your review before anything gets published, and it will immediately demonstrate what agentic assistance feels like in your specific workflow. 4. Build your governance statement. Every agentic workflow you operate needs a governance layer. What decisions can the agent make autonomously? What requires human approval? And what gets escalated to your review immediately? Write this out as a simple one-page document before you extend your agentic workflow to any consequential task. The discipline of writing it will clarify your workflow design. 5. Set a 60-day review. Put a calendar reminder for 60 days from today to review your agentic workflow against 3 questions. What worked better than expected? What required more human intervention than anticipated? What new capability has become available that you are not yet using? The agentic AI landscape is moving fast enough that a 60-day review cycle is the minimum appropriate for workflow optimization. The agentic era has already begun, not in a research paper, not in a press release, in production systems running right now at companies and organizations across every industry. The question is not whether this transformation is real. The question is whether you are going to be someone who understands it well enough to use it or someone who discovers it after the gap has already closed around them. Drop the word Agentic in the comments right now. I will send you the free 2026 Agentic AI Creator Starter Kit, the research brief template, the governance statement framework, the 60-day review checklist, and the specific tools I use in my own agentic content workflow. Hit like, subscribe, and the notification bell. Every single day, a new in-depth AI trend report. The agents are already working. Make sure yours are working for you. See you tomorrow. 1#.